outcome of Catalan election has been followed all over the world because the debate taking place in this country on the referendum and on the independence process. So let us check the facts. This is the new parliament, the new Catalan assembly. We can share all the parties in two big blocks. The ones we call sovereignist, the ones who support referendum on independence, and the ones we call unionist, the ones against. If we check how every political party scored in these last elections, we find first the Convergencia and Unió, which is the Liberal Democrats and Christian Democrats coalition, the ruling party, the party of President Mas. They got 50 MPs, coming down from 62. They support the referendum process. Then the second party, and this is new, this is big news, is the Republican left, so pro-independence party also, a strongly pro-independence party. They jumped from 10 MPs to 21, and now this is the leading party on the left side of the parliament. Then we have the Socialist Party, the Spanish and Catalan Socialist Party, the Social Democrats. They went to 20 MPs, the worst result ever, and they had 28 before. The Socialist Party is against the referendum. They call for what they say a legal referendum, meaning that they support a referendum only in the case of the Spanish government supporting the referendum, which is absolutely impossible. So we put them on the unionist side. Then we have the People's Party, which is the ruling party now in Spain. Is a strong right party, strong against Catalan independence. They just won one more MP, but they came in fourth position. And we have three more parties. One is the Iniciativa per Catalunya. It's a coalition of former communists and Greens. They support the referendum also, and they got 13 MPs, up from 10. Then we have Ciutadans. This is a pro-Spanish party, urban, young people supporting Spain. They got 9 MPs coming from 3. And then we have the CUP, which is an anti-capitalist political party that also strongly supports independence. And this was the first time ever they ran for being present in the parliament, and they got 3 MPs. So coming back to the big photo of what is happening, we have now a parliament where there is 87 MPs who support the referendum process, the pro-independence process, and 48 that are against this process. This is the first real fact on that. But we have more on the votes, on how many people voted every option. And we see that the pro-referendum were much more voted than the unionists. In fact, not only they had much more votes, but the increasing number of votes were best for the pro-referendum than for the unionists. If we check this fact the other way, it's very easy to see that on the new votes, on more people voting that doesn't vote 2 years ago, the pro-referendum is winning much more votes. In fact, they are winning almost 150,000 votes than the unionist votes. So on every way of understanding the voting, the result is absolutely clear. So what happened in the parliament? Where is the big change in the new parliament in reference to the old one? Well, in fact, that was the old parliament 2 years ago. We have a very big number of MPs belonging to Convergencia y Unió, the Liberal Democrats. Then we have some MPs from the left that support the referendum, and then we have the pro-Spain political parties. What changed at this time has been very easy to understand. The unionist parties, the parties supporting Spain and against the referendum, lost 1 MP. The Convergencia y Unió party have a big loss of 12 MPs, but the winners, the ones that changed the parliament, were the other sovereignists, the left-wing pro-referendum parties, Esquerra Republicana, Iniciativa per Catalunya, and CUP, who were the ones who get much more seats now, up to 13. The new parliament then is a three-parts parliament. On one side you have the center-right pro-referendum bloc, then you have the left pro-referendum bloc, and then you have the pro-Spain bloc. This is a huge difference, meaning that the government, the day-by-day task of the new government will be much more difficult, because right and left must search an agreement in order not only to call for the referendum in the next months or in the next years, but also to be able to rule the country until the referendum process. One important thing is the fact that in this election people voted more than ever. Almost 70% of the whole population vote, also much more people than 2 years ago. This is important because here in Catalonia there were some buzz saying that in the Catalan elections people coming from a Spanish origin doesn't want to vote. This is not true now. This is not true because if 70% of the population vote, that is a high level of vote. That means that the pro-Spanish people also go to the polls and voted. And that is very interesting for the referendum, because more or less is a clue on how much people will vote for yes or for no in the next referendum. And finally, two more questions. One, some newspapers said that the President Mas the score of President Mas' party was a defeat because their own voters didn't understand the pro-referendum position of the party, which is a new position on the last months following the September 11 demonstration. That's not true, because if we check the facts again, the Convergencia y Unió party have only 1,900 less votes, which is around 7% of the vote, for reference of the voting 2 years before, of the score they got 2 years before. So most of their voters agree on the new policy of the party supporting the referendum and supporting independence. The problem for Convergencia y Unió was that much more people voted, so they didn't get new votes, and that's what was the problem for them. But the militants, the people supporting Convergencia y Unió, clearly were in favor of the process, in favor of the referendum. And on the map, if we check the map, we'll see that most of the country, in most of the towns, people voted for the referendum. There were only 3 areas where we can have sort of discussion. One was the Val d'Aran, which is a non-Catalan area inside Catalonia, and the Val d'Aran is an Occitan language area, so it's quite a special area inside the country, and there Unionists got more votes than Sovereignists. Also in the Barcelona metro area, there were a mix of pro-union and pro-referendum and against referendum, but it's important to remark that in the city of Barcelona, in the capital city, voted for referendum. There were more votes for referendum than against. And also in the Tarragona metro area is the only area where there is also a discussion. But most of the country, in a very homogeneous way, is voting today already in favor of the referendum, and so in favor of the pro-independence parties. And that's are the checks for the election night in Catalonia, and with this parliament we only can expect in the next months a call for a referendum on independence.